Hello, you lovely listeners. I'm Amy. Welcome to the Really Good Conversations podcast, where we will delve into the minds of the business people we have met in the process of launching our first card game. We will be uncovering their secrets to success, their biggest mistakes, and sharing the key lessons they have picked up en route. So, if you're looking for an engaging chinwag mixed with business insights and a good pinch of fun, you're in the right place. Let's have a really good conversation. Hello, Alex. Welcome back to the Really Good Conversations podcast.
I can't believe you invited me back on after my lackluster performance on the last one.
Not at all. We are still actually waiting to hear, aren't we, how your 10 backflip challenge is going.
At the moment, I'm feeling pretty safe with my bet that I put out to the world because my views are still lagging quite behind. But the offer is there. If it gets to 100 downloads, I will attempt to do 10 backflips and we'll record it. And we'll put it out, whatever happens. Mm-hmm. I still think I'm quite safe on that though, so...
Right, well, we will revisit that.
Bring it on.
The reason I invited you back on the podcast is on my guests in the last episode that we shared with the lovely couple from the Collectible Cities, touched on the topic of running a Kickstarter campaign. And obviously we launched a Kickstarter campaign in May, and I thought it would be a great opportunity to really discuss our journey of crowdfunding and hear from you, your experiences, what you thought about it, learnings, and if we would do one again, and tips you might have for people who are considering it.
Sounds good.
So firstly, I'm going to ask you about the product that we put on Kickstarter, which was Really Good Conversations for Businesses. So tell us a little bit about where the Really Good Conversations for Businesses came from.
Okay. So, Really Good Conversations for Businesses feels like the product that has been in the making for a very long time. And I say that because before Really Good Conversations, we have a brand strategy consultancy called Starts With A. So that's what me and Amy do in our real day jobs when we're not making card games. And the majority of the work that we do in that business involves strategic workshops with clients. So clients will pay us to facilitate a session where we go into their offices, we talk to their senior members of staff, and we help them to find alignment on their ideas and draw conclusions. And I always say in those sessions, we're not paid to have the answers, we're paid to ask really good questions. And over the years, we've developed a lot of our own processes that, that we've just found that work through these sessions. And a lot of them revolve around asking really good questions. So that's the background to what we do as a consultancy. And then we launched Really Good Conversations, and that's taken on a life of its own. And I've always really wanted to create a product through our brand consultancy, but it's never felt like the right thing. And anyway, so we've got this card business which is now running, and we saw an opportunity to combine both of the streams and produce product, which we already kind of use this product through our brand workshops already, which is a collection of questions that we ask clients through Really Good Conversations. So what we did is we took all of the most powerful, most thought-provoking, most effective strategic questions that we ask to clients in workshops, and we packaged them up in a pack of cards that anybody can then use through their own business. And that is Really Good Conversations for Businesses. So it is a complete crossover between our two businesses. It's all of the value that we've developed over the past 15 years through our brand consultancy, delivered through our card game, which we launched in 2022.
Perfect. And for this one, this is the first product that we have actually done using a crowdfunding campaign. Yeah. So why did we decide to do crowdfunding for this particular one?
And I'm still asking myself why we did it. But before we launched this product, this is a little bit different to our other Really Good Conversation products that are all consumer focusing products. They're aimed at different parts of the audience, from parents to families, to children, to toddlers, etc. This is a business product, so it doesn't feel quite as aligned as the other ones. So it's maybe aimed at a different audience. So it's a little bit more of a risk for us to put it out there. And when we're approaching production, there's costs involved, obviously, in us getting the product made. And, to get it at a certain price point, you have to spend a certain amount and you have to order a certain amount of units. So for us, that's quite a risk. And also, we don't know how easy we can reach the right target audience before we actually sell it. It's not something you'd sell in a gift shop, for example, which is most of our existing distribution is through like small independent gift shops. So we're thinking, what other ways can we bring this to market? Well, let's launch on Kickstarter. And then the benefits of a Kickstarter or Indiegogo or something like that is you can pitch an idea and you don't necessarily need the funding up front to launch it. You can pitch it and you can say to people, this is what we want to do. This is our credentials. If you want to back us, these are all the different ways that you can support the project. And if it goes ahead, then you'll be the first to get one of the products or all the other different benefits that you list. And then the benefit for us is that if it gets over the line, we get funding that covers the cost of production, our risks are reduced, and also we've got an audience ready to receive the product. So it's good in many ways. The negative side is that if you don't reach your funding goal on Kickstarter specifically, it's an all or nothing campaign. So if you don't reach your goal, even by like £5, all of the money goes back to the people who have supported you, and then nothing happens. You've got to start again. So hope that explains it.
No, that does definitely. Obviously decided to set up a crowdfunding campaign. What went into setting it up for people that, have never set one up before, considering setting one up? When you actually look at the page of whether it's a Kickstarter page or other platforms, it looks relatively simple and straightforward. But what actually goes into the background?
No, it's incredibly challenging. And I'll just start by saying the platforms are easy to use. So anybody can set up a profile on Kickstarter or any of the other crowdfunding platforms very easily. But to create a pitch that is convincing enough for someone who's never met you before to hand over money on the promise that you're going to deliver something is a difficult thing. And it's very difficult if you don't have any marketing experience, if you don't have access to design resource, copywriting resource, if you've never written a value proposition before, if you've never done any video editing. If you're just entering it and you've got an idea, that's typically not enough to get people to back you. And for us, obviously, we've got a lot of marketing experience, and it was just as difficult for us. So it still was a very big piece of work.
And tell us, okay, it goes live. So obviously, we put up all the information on the Kickstarter page, video, imagery, copy information, and then it goes live. And essentially, you've got 30 days to reach the target. You
set the time period that you're leaving it for, and they recommend not more than 30 days. If anything shorter is better. If you leave it for a long time, you've got to promote for a long time.
Yeah.
So you've got to sustain that promotion the whole time. And what I'd researched, you tend to see an influx of backers in the first few days, and they tend to be people that already know you. So these are people that are aware of what you're doing. They already know you're going to launch it. They jump on board straight away. So you get a spike in the first week. And then you have this plateau for 3 weeks where it just drip, 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 drip. Nothing much happens. And then you have this peak at the end, right before it finishes. And obviously, the longer that you run the campaign for, the longer you have to sustain the promotion through each of it. So I was already prepared for the fact that the first week was going to be great. We're going to get loads of excitement. People who know us and trust us would jump on board. And then we'd have a bit of a slump in the middle, and then you have to pray that at the end you get a sudden influx of pledges. But still, it was a very stressful experience. And I think I approached it maybe with a bit of naive optimism. I remember saying to you the month before, oh, this idea, people are going to love it. We've been using this product for years in our own processes. People are going to love it. And yeah, it just didn't quite turn out exactly how I'd imagined.
Yeah, was there anything then that surprised you that you didn't expect from running the campaign once it was live?
I thought Kickstarter would bring more traffic through the community, which it didn't. So I think maybe 15%, maybe 15-20% of the backers of our project were through Kickstarter's community, and the other 80% were through our own network. So we really had to dig deep and promote the project on our own. I thought that putting on Kickstarter would expose our product to the Kickstarter community. There's millions of people there, and the people would jump on board, and then off you go. It'd be great. And the reality was that didn't happen. And we got a little bit of interest from the Kickstarter community, but it was much smaller than I was expecting. So it meant that we had to pick up the slack.
Well, and it also didn't feel that once we were part of the Kickstarter community, that there was really a community there. So, you know, obviously Kickstarter does have their own social media channels, Facebook, Instagram. There was no way of seeing how you actually got your product on there. I didn't see when we were part of the campaign any way to contact them.
Yeah, I didn't feel very supported by Kickstarter. Kickstarter just felt like, yeah, use our platform, good luck. You're on your own. You know, if it doesn't work, it's on you. And you know, we're big enough that we don't give a shit.
And I touched on this actually with the guys from Collectible Cities, because they experienced it as well. When you can get pledges, and they were from unknown sources, different amounts, but actually it ended up being people that were actually trying to sell you services.
So I'll explain what happened there. And this is something I hadn't expected either. On Kickstarter, someone can put a pledge on your campaign, and it almost gives them access to talk to you. So they put a pledge, might be $80, for example. So you see a pledge come through, $80. We're high-fiving. Yes, $80, great. Okay, someone's put a pledge, and then you get a message from the pledger. Hi there, how's it going? And you go, yeah, it's going all right. I noticed that you're doing this, and we could help you with your marketing on this. Here's our range of marketing services for Kickstarter campaigns, and it links you to a website. And if you don't go for it, they remove the pledge. And the worst thing is they don't remove the pledge straight away. So you might have a conversation back. No, I'm okay. No, I think we've got this covered. Thank you for your message anyway. Thanks for backing the project. And then nothing happens. 2 weeks later, the pledge disappears. Now, that might not sound that bad on the surface, but if you are really on the edge of reaching your funding goal, and it's all or nothing funding, and say someone's put in $500 and you reach your funding goal, you're celebrating, they can pull that pledge out. And then that can make the Kickstarter campaign be under your goal and make it invalid. So I really didn't like that. And we got a lot of that, actually. We probably had...
I was surprised.
5 to 10 different contacts during the campaign that were just trying to sell us marketing services. And they're just making stuff, we noticed that you can improve this. And I was thinking, I come from a marketing background, so I'm quite wary about stuff like that. But a lot of people that are just launching their own one might be swayed by that and spend a lot of extra money. So I found that quite bad about the platform.
Yeah. What would be 3 tips you would give to people who are considering going down a crowdfunding campaign?
Okay. 3 good outtakes. Number 1, something we didn't do, but you definitely should, is build a community before you launch something. So whether it's a Facebook group or an Instagram or even your LinkedIn, build a group of people that are already into what you're about to launch. So when you launch it, there's already that trust there. You've got people queuing up and they can pull the trigger straight away. That means that the start of the campaign will go very successful. It will promote it further, and you'll feel kind of confidence that you'll probably reach your goals. That's probably the best outtake that we could have had. So that's number 1. Number 2, I would say set lowest target that you realistically need to actually just get it off the ground. Don't be greedy. So don't be over ambitious. Don't put in a target which is way more than you need. Literally just go for the exact amount that you need and make it as low as possible. Because it's better to hit your target and get the funding than to just miss by a tiny amount and then it just doesn't happen. Right, so the third one is have a plan of promotion for the duration of the campaign. So if you're doing a 4-week campaign, think about the messaging that you're going to release in week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, and so on. If you've got an 8-week campaign, exactly the same. Like I was saying, typically there's an influx at the start of the campaign, and then at the end of the campaign, you might want to position your social posts or your emails that you're sending out to speak to that influx at the start and the end, and maybe you need something to keep going in the middle. So that's it. Number 1, have an audience ready. Number 2, don't be greedy, go for the lowest cost you can. And number 3, have a marketing calendar planned out already with all your posts and stuff throughout the campaign.
And the big question is, would you do it again?
Oh, that is a big question. It was an absolute slog, if I'm going to be completely honest. It was hard work, and I had to rely on a lot of my network, and I had to message lots of people. I don't think I would do another one again in a hurry, but that's maybe because I'm still a little bit exhausted from the last one. I do think there's a time and a place for it, and I think if you have all your ducks in a line, if you've got a big audience ready already, you've got a good product, I think it's a great idea. But I think it can be unnecessarily exhausting. I came out of the Kickstarter, and if you'd have asked me the day after we just got funding if I wanted to do it again, I would have said hell no. It was a real hard piece of work.
I think it's not to be underestimated that it is still an activity that needs to be marketed just like every other activity that you may be doing. But I think it does offer an excellent option for people to access funding, for people getting businesses, products, etc. off the ground.
The reality is, though, to access that funding, you need to put together a watertight pitch.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Which is all sorts of different kinds of medias. You need good copywriting, good photography, good product images, a great video. That on its own requires a certain amount of budget to start with.
An excellent learning experience, and very grateful and appreciative that it did actually propel really good conversations for businesses forward. It did get it out.
Oh, it launched.
It
actually got me having lots of conversations with old contacts that I haven't spoken to in years. Yeah, it was amazing. Like, I really enjoyed the feedback from people. People love the product. It's been an amazing experience getting the product out there, and I'm super excited for where it's going to go. Well,
that's a good segue that we shall just rattle through perhaps 3 questions from the Really Good Conversations for Business pack.
Oh, how exciting.
To conclude this discussion.
Oh.
So I will jump right in.
Oh. I can't wait.
This is a question. Can you explain what we do in 1 sentence?
Yes.
And please share that sentence with us.
Okay. We make games that bring people together through conversation.
Fantastic.
That's it.
Simple and to the point.
And I do a lot of this kind of work with clients. And I think it's very important to be able to communicate your value in a quick, simple way. So that's one of the things that we narrowed down on in the first month. Excellent. And it's remained the same, actually.
The second question I have pulled out is, what is important to you about the way you do business?
So this probably applies to Really Good Conversations and our brand consultancy, starts with A, and everything I've done in the past. I care a lot about integrity. I don't have time for people that are not authentic or that don't want to do things for the right reasons. For time wasters or people that are false. What about you?
Yeah, I'd agree with what you've said, and I think it is working with good people and making a difference.
Yeah, totally.
Okay, the last question. What is your business highlight from the last year?
Well, it has been a whirlwind.
My favourite word on every podcast. I know you have highlighted that.
I looked back through our marketing emails over the past 5 years, and I found a theme that we always open the marketing emails by saying, "It's been a whirlwind of a year." And I thought,
this year is no exception.
it's like every year's been a whirlwind. So I'm going to change the narrative. It's been a roller coaster of a year this year. And I would say my highlight has been the trade show in January. We went to Top Drawer in January, and I was super nervous about the whole thing, and I think I had a lot of imposter syndrome, and Amy convinced me it was a good idea late in the pub one night, and we rang up the event organisers and committed to going, and I think it's been the springboard that has sent us up to the next level. It really pushed me outside of my comfort zone. We learned tons about wholesale pricing and positioning and retailers, and we met amazing people at the event. And for someone like me who is a little bit introverted, there was a big step out of where I would usually go. And yeah, I think it really set the direction for us from there, and we've been on a bit of a tear ever since. What about you?
Absolutely. I'd absolutely agree with that. I think certainly Gosh highlight in the last year would be also, getting it into wholesale, having those repeat wholesale orders. There's been, a hell of a lot of highlights. I think the trade show, I would agree, pushed us into a new realm.
Oh, God. It took us from like a little side project to suddenly we're a serious business.
Yes, I agree. Anyway, well, thank you for joining me.
It's been a really good conversation, eh?
It has. And
let's hope this one does better than my last episode.
It was still very good, your last episode. It's going to have lots of listeners.
All three of them.
But no, I hope that for anyone listening, that has been useful to just get a little bit of a behind the scenes into running a crowdfunding campaign. You've heard we've mentioned the platform Kickstarter a number of times. There are other platforms out there. That is just the one we decided to use. And if anyone is considering launching one, we are always happy to share our learnings and insights, and feel free to reach out with any questions you might have as well. And I guess a big thank you actually to everyone who did support us on the Kickstarter and made the product come to life for Really Good Conversations for Businesses. It is now available on the website as well. Thank you everyone for tuning in, and thank you, Alex.
It's been a pleasure.
Thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed the episode. Be sure to check out the show notes for more information on today's guests. And if Really Good Conversations are your thing, hit subscribe and join us next time for more business journeys, insights and banter.